ask Puneet Dal, please, to come forward and speak to the petition. No, not at all.
Do I sit here?
Yes,
Okay.
wherever you're comfortable there.
All right, thank you, sir.
So the normal process, Puneet, is that you've got 5 minutes, and if there is a question afterwards, we can take maybe 1 or 2 questions if need be. But this is a petition in terms of your desire to keep the Auckland Dock Line tram running. So your 5 minutes start now. Welcome along, and thank you for your presentation.
Well, thank you, sir, and all the councillors here. Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to come. My name is Puneet Dal, and I'm just an ordinary person, a citizen, and I represent a movement called Keep the Auckland Dock Line Tram Running, which has 800 supporters now, to keep this tram running. We love life, and we love the tram. It's heritage, it's part of Auckland's history. It gives joy. There's this loop in Wynyard Quarter, and when you see people get on it, you see the children get on it, you see the people and the tourists snapping away, there's just happiness. It's a brilliant way to move people around, it's energy efficient, and it creates character, and we just love it. And there's a lot of us. There's a large public mandate. Unfortunately, since 2013, this beautiful tram has only run for 6 months, and we're very upset about that. And we wanted to find out why. And in fact, recently it's become even further decommissioned. And these are the points that we'd like to try to raise in order to try to get your help to keep the Auckland Dock Line tram running, which we love so dearly. We have been working with Panuku and the lovely people there, and we've been trying to find a solution with them. And we think that they have a fundamental dilemma in how they operate. We believe that one of their missions is to maximise their return on investment, which is brilliant. More money for the people. They also have a mission to serve the public interest, which is brilliant. It's what we want. The difficulty is that they need to balance both of those interests with the narrower interests of private clients who give them top dollar for the kind of deals that they're trying to create. And we recognise that this creates difficulty. We don't think it's wrong. We see the difficulty. And we believe that in the case of the tram, where several years ago 8 metres of track were taken out and the overhead lines were taken out, and then last week the track fan which connects the tram shed to the road was taken out. And what happened was the tram shed and the track fan, in an agreement in 2014, it was agreed between Panuku and a private developer called Willis Bond to build luxury apartments on this site. And we believe that covertly there was an initiative to really lead to the demise of the tram. And that's our problem. We think that the balance simply got lost. And it's what we told Panuku yesterday. We think that Willis Bond's interests were trumped over those of the tram in order to achieve the best possible deal, which is one of the things that they've been asked to do. They didn't do anything wrong. But they made a judgment call in that deal to remove the tram, and the problem was they made that in a vacuum and without telling Joe Public. And that's the point where we think that maybe the law was broken. At that point, the tram became a dead duck, we believe, inside the Panuku organisation. But, as I said, Joe Public had no idea or awareness of that.
Or councillors for them.
We have a public mandate to have this tram running. Also, the Waitemata Board is behind us. Also, the governing body member for Waitemata and Gulf. And we really want to get the full loop operational again with your support. And we really won't rest until that's the case. We've also got Right Honourable Nikki Kay working with us on this, and we want a solution from Panuku Board. And that solution is along these lines, and we would really like your help to write to them and to talk to them on our behalf as a citizens' movement. And we're quite happy to meet you, Mr Mayor, our citizens' movement as well after this. We'd like to revisit the 2014 agreement between Willis Bond and Panuku, and we'd like to allocate the appropriate funds to provide for the Auckland Dockline tram to continue operation and to derive compensation funds from Auckland Transport for tram suspension during works. We just want to rebalance where the balance was lost. We just want a firm date. We don't want vagueness, which is what we're getting, because we love Wynyard Quarter, and yes, the development there is going at quite a pace. But what we ask is, we just want a firm date when the full loop can be operational again. We suggest Monday the 20th of January 2019 for the tram loop to be fully reinstated and the tram to work weekends following this date. And we ask you to then have the tram fully operational as soon as possible after that. And possibly, if Panuku don't want to run the asset, we have got 800 people with very, very talented people in our movement. Engineers, businessmen, architects. We were considering perhaps the asset could be handed back to our movement. And we will establish a tramzar and a bona fide 5-year business plan and report directly to you, the councillors and the mayor. We want your help to keep this beautiful heritage tram running. Please help us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Puneet. We now have the opportunity for any questions from councillors. I think because the matter hasn't been before council before, and thank you for bringing it here today, the motion that I propose to put will be to refer the petition to both Panuku and Auckland Transport. And I think I heard you say you've met with Panuku.
Yes,
today?
several times, and
Yeah.
Auckland Transport. I think the one thing I think we could ask for you is if you could believe in the right for the tram to exist and for the full loop to be reinstated, and to write to both Panuku and Auckland Transport with that message. Waitemata Board has done so.
I think what you've given us today is a number of options that
Okay.
I think would be quite interesting to explore, including
Right.
your own group and
Thank you.
how they might contribute. My understanding is that operational funding has been set aside in the long-term plan, but not the capital funding that will be needed to replace where we actually house the tram when that land is utilised for other purposes. So there will be some CapEx implications, and we would therefore need to see a business case. But in the first instance, a report to this council, obviously from Panuku and Auckland Transport, would be worthwhile. I've got a couple of questions that have been signalled. Councillor Walker.
I've got a question. I've been certainly unaware as a councillor of a number of points that you've made. Is there some documentation that you could leave us that could be tabled as
I have
as part of your
got
presentation?
over 100 pieces of documents of correspondence and evidence that I've been collating over the last few months, and I'm quite happy to meet with you privately to share that evidence with you. Yes.
How about is there any documentation you could table that might be included as part of the minutes of this meeting?
In terms of what, the right to exist or the right?
Just covering off the points that you've made here.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at this, for example, if you look at the point, what happened in the 2014 agreement between Willis Bond and Panuku, that's all covered by the Official Secrets Act. So I can't give you that agreement, but what we do know is that the chairman of Panuku told us that there was a legal obligation to remove the tracks, and that obligation was made with Willis Bond. So the chairman told us that. He's here right now, actually. But what we were told on August 9th, which we have the minutes to when we met Panuku, was that actually they actually told us on August 9th, prior to us finding that out, that actually it was an oversight in the 2014 agreement. So we believe that the main thing was that it was done in a vacuum, and we have all the minutes to support that. And I think it's the kind of thing that we might have to take further.
Thank you very much.
Outside of here.
And happy to meet you.
Thank you. Your name, sir?
Wayne Walker.
Thank you.
Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Your Worship. In the resolutions, we haven't given Puneet any idea when we expect to have a report back. Do you think it would be reasonable to request a report to the governing body by the end of the year? Or, I mean, he's asking for reinstatement back by January 19th, I think, 2019.
Yes, I am.
And I think he probably needs a bit of a steer of where we're going to sit on that matter. So there will be a little bit of urgency, I would think, for us to consider, and it's not referenced in the resolution currently.
No, I intend to, in fact, I'll move the resolution. I think Councillor Hulse has agreed to second it, but with her agreement, just to, I've already changed the last part of the resolution to request a report to the governing body on the matter. Now, I'm not sure what the time frame is, but obviously we would expect to get a report reasonably quickly on what the, for example, what the work what work has to be done, both to reinstate the tram line where it was intruding on one of the development sites, and to build to relocate the tram shed. So maybe we could report to the
Sir,
governing body
the
on the matter by our November
Meeting.
meeting.
That'd be great.
The
Thank
tram
you.
shed doesn't need relocating.
Well, sorry, we won't.
right.
That's what I'm told.
Okay,
but,
okay.
Once we've got the report,
Understood.
and that will incorporate the advice that you've
Understood.
given to Panuku and Auckland Transport, councillors will have a better idea of what the situation is and what
Yes.
the financial implications would be.
Absolutely.
I think all of us emotionally are sympathetic to the tram line running.
Fantastic.
Uh,
That's great to hear.
We've got,
Friends, I love
but we have to, as always, when we are expending ratepayer money, we've got to have a business case to know.
Sir, we can make you
what
money.
commitments
I
we're
can do
making.
business. We've got tram engineers. We can make you really good money on this thing, especially with the America's Cup coming on. Those tram drivers, they know that area. They love that area. You see the buses go in Wynyard Quarter, empty, 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 fuel coming off. And I can make this thing brilliant for you, sir.
I think we're impressed with your enthusiasm and the homework that you've done. And
San Francisco will be nothing after I finish.
Let's make sure
Okay,
that
all right, thank you, sir.
the CCOs that we refer this to
Yeah.
take on board your messages and report back to us.
Great.
I'm sorry?
Just a quick question.
Oh, yeah, Deputy Mayor Cashmore.
Sorry, love your enthusiasm as well.
Thank you.
Just as your group of your 800 members, you're an incorporated society? Under the Act?
No, we have a core 20. This thing has just spurned in the last few months. We have a core 20 of tram engineers and passionate people who've been following this since obviously 1956, when the tram lines came up and the disruptive technology of cars came along. And there's people who've been there since then. We've got tram drivers whose mothers and fathers were tram drivers. And the more I learn about Auckland, the more I learn that the tram is Auckland. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll move the resolution of thanks, and you can see the resolution on the screen in front of you. It's been seconded. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. Carried. Right, thank you
Thank you.
very
Thank you
much, Peniel.